Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition here of the Man of Steel podcast. So, of course, you're surely Charles Prodigy Richey right now. And we begin this one right now paying tribute to the Rooney family, especially Art Rooney II and his brothers and sisters, Jim, everybody, as they have now lost their mom, the late Patricia Rooney, who passes away late Saturday night at the age of 88 years old. She is also the wife of the late Dan Rooney now, so now they reunite in heaven after nearly 4 years in the making, and here we go. So some sad stuff to see right now, nonetheless. See a loved one go in this world, but here we are right now, and right now, just like to hear. We're beginning some of my tributes, as well as the latest quarterback blockbuster deal that was made on Saturday evening on that same day, as the Rams have dealt for Matt Stafford in exchange with Jared Goff. They'll be, according to Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport of ESPN and NFL Network right now, for that blockbuster deal. Not only do the Lions get Jared Goff, but they also get two future 2022 and 2023 first-round picks and a 2021 third-round pick for Jared Goff. And there you have it right there. And I know a lot of people are really still continuing to ponder right now the Steelers situation at their quarterback position right now. More particularly, a lot of people seem to be surprised that Art Rooney II seems to still feel like they got one more shot with Ben Roethlisberger coming up. And I know that's probably not the most popular thing a lot of people want to hear right now. People in the media or Yellow fans right now, a lot of people who are feeling like he should be just taking a step back, do what's best for the best interest of this organization. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. And plus, we're going to be having the preview of Super Bowl 55 right now, coming up right now. Some more stuff right now. We got yet another offensive coordinator, and he used to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but not offensive coordinator, but he's got a pair of championship rings with the club. We'll discuss who he is in just a moment. Once again, if you guys want to follow me on social media, you can definitely do so. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Man of Steel podcast on Twitter, it is at Man of Steel Nation. At Man of Steel Nation on Instagram and at Man of Steel CGR on Instagram, as we get ready to take a look into a lot more going into that. But first, let's go ahead and begin with a heartfelt, sad loss of the late Patricia Rooney, passing away at the age of 88 years old right now. A true matriarch to the Steelers family. A lot of love, condolences, and support across the NFL, as you can see. A lot of people making their comments. I mean, you even had Bill Cowher right there, who was just recently saying in the article written by Jerry Dulac right here. And his comments was that she was most endearing individual, as Cowher said Sunday. Pat and Dan were people I worked for. They were my best friends, but they were like my parents. They were all 3-1. And you also have another one here coming from former Steeler and Seahawk and Patriot too, Chad Brown right there. Steeler Nation lost a wonderful woman tonight. Chad Brown, said former linebacker for the Steelers. A few months after my daughter was born, Mrs. Rooney picked out a game outfit for her first game. She picked it out personally, delivered it personally. It's the football business, but it's a Steeler family. It just goes to show what kind of a rock she was to this organization right now. And just definitely just some sad news to hear, especially as we continue to go on for this COVID time. I have no idea what the cause of death was. I don't think it was anything COVID, but hopefully that's not the case. But for right now, goes to show you, as of life right now, many people still continue to be in trying times right now. But right now, just a beautiful thing to hear her reunited with her husband, Dan Rooney. And of course, I'm not sure if it's her father-in-law or her father, but Art Rooney right now. So most of them are reunited in heaven right now as they continue to move on. in this life here. And just goes to show you just how much women in sports in general. I mean, especially in the NFL too, how much they continue to make a presence felt here, as far as like what they mean to like not only clubs, organizations here. We've been hearing a lot. You've been hearing from George McCaskey right there from the Chicago Bears too. I mean, and many more people across the league. I mean, teaches such teams such as like the Carolina Panthers. You even had Clark Hunt, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then of course you also had one too from the Gail Benson too, of the New Orleans Saints right there. So I mean, just to show you what's happening. Again, love condolences to everybody going on too. It's been also nice to seeing a lot more lately too. I mean, Jim Rooney too. I mean, who's been coming out right now. I mean, who's another guy who's written the book on his father, Dan Rooney. I mean, just recently. I mean, about a year ago, I believe it was. And yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of stuff going on right there. Definitely like to check into that. But yeah, here we are right now. We're at this point. So again, I hope everyone finds closure and solace together right now. So that will definitely be some heartfelt messages right there, no doubt about it. Also, want to just spend a special shout out right now uh, to Bob Papiani right now, as it was announced a few hours ago earlier today too, that there's gonna be coming up a podcast right now with him and Andrew Filippoli right now, which will be premiering soon, and that'll be on many platforms coming up down the road right here. Definitely, I think iTunes is one of them, but right now it's be called as we look at it, the Pop and Pony uh, Pop Pop and Pony podcast right there coming up. So I can't wait to hear them coming up. Love calling into the show, Bob Papiani right there. To download the podcast, you just go kdka.com or radio.com/937 the fan. The podcast will launch this Friday on February 5th on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, KDKA, radio.com, and then everywhere podcasts are available. So make sure to note that down right now as we take a look at it right now at this point in time. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and move on to the blockbuster trade that happened right now. A guy who is homegrown in the state of California, more closer to like San Francisco, Jared Goff right now. Former number one overall pick in the NFL draft right here. And you look at this guy, I mean, who's been a very big centerpiece for the Rams since they returned back to LA here. When you look at it, I mean, back in 2016, I mean, you look at this guy's resume. He's had a winning season every year, with the exception of his rookie year, which was back in 2016. This guy has been doing phenomenal. I mean, once a guy who was just good enough to help guide his team to a Super Bowl behind a pretty legit defense about 2 years ago. Right now, and the biggest thing of a lot of people are questioning right now is a contract that he had them strapped to within the final couple of years. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, Jared Goff right now, who is now moved on from the LA Rams, he is now with the Detroit Lions here, but you still have a few years remaining here on this salary when we take a look at it for right now. And here we go for this. And the Rams refused to give Goff a vote of confidence, apparently, after the loss of the Packers in the playoffs. And keep in mind, too, this guy was playing, I think, for a broken finger, a broken thumb in the playoffs. And the Rams just no longer, at the end of the day, want to be on the hook for Goff's contract, which carries more than $43 million in fully guaranteed payments in 2021 and 2022. $43 million in those next few years. I mean, when you take a look at it, I mean, basically, and which includes $27.5 million for 2021. And then you also look at too, 15.5 million right there. So which makes up the $43 million. So he would have gotten $27.5 million. I mean, right now, but instead, since they did trade the guy right now for this time, when we look at it, for a guy like Jared Goff, who is now gone, pretty much from the Lions. I imagine he still has to pass his physical and everything. I mean, going into this, but very disappointing here to say the least. And since they already traded him, what ends up happening right now is that for this year, the Rams will still be on the hook this year for $22.2 million, which will be their cap number since they're trading away this guy. Since they did trade him prior to June, and then the rest of his cap fees will be wiped off the rest of the way. So $22 million or $22.2 million are still on the hook for the Rams organization. And I got to be honest with you, I thought Jared Goff wasn't that bad of a quarterback. I mean, definitely a little bit of an interesting size, too, when you look at him in his NFL career. And I thought, I mean, at 6'4", I mean, real decent. I mean, look at his overall numbers right now in his career, what he's been able to post up. He's had 107 touchdowns and 55 interceptions. He's threw for over 4,000 yards 2 times in his career, with his career high being 2018, the year they did go to the Super Bowl, too. I mean, and then also, too, his QB rating right now, his highest QB rating he ever had in his career this season was also 2018, 101.1. And this guy has been very well protected, to say the least, throughout the years. The only time he's really got sacked a lot more was in that same year I just mentioned, 2018. So you look at Steeler fans right now, when you look at like the talks right now of a guy like Deshaun Watson, I mean, and a lot of people are also pointing to a guy like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford, he's going to be a guy that's going to be turning 33 this year on the day of the Super Bowl. Here's the only problem I have with that. I mean, with a guy like Matt Stafford, I'm not sure if I would necessarily want him as a rental right now. I mean, to be honest, Steelers, you got to look at the realization right now. I mean, they still got a whole lot more of cap they need to clear. And I'm not sure if I'm going to watch someone for a rental when you got a lot more stuff to address at the end. And, yeah, I mean, it was a joke, but I mean, at the same time, too, I also respect it for the Rams right now that they still believe right now their window's about to close. They need someone for life. And when you look at it, too, from that perspective, I also like to think right now as well, here's the thing, too. Matt Stafford, yeah, he's a little bit more better passing the ball, but here's where I pause with a guy like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford, at the end of the day, too, I'm not so sure if he's like the big-time winner that a lot of people want to put this guy out to be. I mean, he's a great guy on the stat sheet, but here's the realization. If you can't win against quarterbacks like the guys like Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, let alone Case Keenum. Case Keenum was there, even Teddy Bridgewater over the years. What makes him think that he's going to beat guys, and even like Mitch Trubisky? I hate to say that. Mitch Trubisky even won the division when the Lions didn't get in the playoffs in 2018. What the heck? So here's the thing. When you look at a guy like Matt Stafford, how in the hell are you going to expect this guy to be competitive against a guy like Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, especially when they got to go travel on the road to Seattle, or an up-and-come-up in Kyler Murray? I think Kyler Murray, I was getting into this with a friend of mine earlier today, and I really do believe right now, here's the thing. I'm not so sure if I want to put him in the same breath right now when you look at it, too. I mean, with a guy like Mitch Trubisky, Kyler Murray and Mitch Trubisky, I think right now, here's the thing. I mean, you're going to probably have Matt Stafford probably ask not to do a heck of a lot more, but I think at the same time, too, you got to make sure you're taking care of that ball. Ball control is going to still be a priority right there. I mean, you look at Jared Goff right now, all his years that he has been playing, I mean, he started like pretty much all his games in the last 3 seasons. I mean, in the last 2 previous seasons, 2018 and 2019. 2017, 2015, he started 15 out of each of his 15 games he was starting for. But then you have a guy like Matt Stafford right now. I mean, when you take a look at it too, who's been coming up on a come up right now. I mean, who's got a losing record, 74, 90, and 1, 16 games under 500, 0-3 in the playoffs. 0-3 against the likes of Drew Brees, uh, let's see, Tony Romo, he's lost to as well, and then Russell Wilson. I'm having a hard time buying on this deal, but I get it too. When you also got guys like Aaron Donald and a pretty darn good defense they had this year. I mean, who ranked in the top 3.
I think they were number one
like
total
Matt
defense
and everything, but still, I mean, I really believe right now Stafford, he's a great passing quarterback, but as far as like winning the big games, I don't see it. I need someone to convince me why, and I'm just not really ready to like entertain that route just yet. I think if anything, I think this is a deal right now. If they're not careful, this could blow up in their face. I'm not so sure that they really got their guy in this right now. And when you look at it, because Stafford, I think this guy at the end of the day, he is a choker. He's not a big game winning quarterback. I think if anything, you're going to probably find yourself in a similar situation where you were this time in the playoffs. You probably go as no far in the second round. I can't honestly see this team getting a first round bye, which he has never had with his team, and just big moments, big time games when the money is on the line. He does not show up, Matt Stafford. I mean, he'll show up in very highly contested games. Don't get me wrong, but in big games, no, I don't think so. But then you also got to look at a guy like Deshaun Watson right now too. I was also listening on the Cook and Joe show, and Bob Papiani usually teams up with them on Mondays. Pretty much, he stayed on pretty much for the whole show today. And one of the things they were talking about at about 11:30, close to noon Eastern time, was with the situation with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson right now, a guy who felt like, according to many reports, that he felt like he was going to have like a little of a say in their next hiring with trying to have a guy like Eric Bieniemy or another personnel right now too, like be involved in, as far as like some other decisions that he would like to have their trust for, and he felt like he was completely ignored and blown off. Listen to me. At the end of the day, a guy who just signed a contract extension, I mean, last September prior to the start of the NFL season right now, and you look at what this guy has got on the table right now, and Deshaun Watson, don't get me wrong, I mean, he's through for career high numbers in passing yardage. I mean, touchdown interception ratio. And you look at everything that he's got going for them right now, and the Texans right now are showing no interest in trading him just yet. They really want to try and work with this guy. But in the next 2 years, when you really look at it right now, he's going to have about $45.4 million in guaranteed salary for the next 2 seasons right now. I mean, this is a guy right now where I think they don't want to like lose right now. This has been a disaster of an organization. But at the same time, too, what I mentioned on my other show, too, on Deck on this past Saturday, is where you got to be careful with this guy is. Do you want to keep a disgruntled guy around that much longer, say some stuff around the organization, make it look like a bad PR move, too? Now, I get it. I mean, the Texans still control his destination as far as what they want to do with him. I mean, the only problem is they could collect about up to like $21.6 million if he decides to retire, is one of the things I was hearing back when I was like talking about this on my other show. So, I mean, at some point right now, you got to look at it right now. How much are you're going to allow players to kind of like run things? If things are not going their way, they're going to just completely give up on their team. I mean, I hate to keep saying this, but look at a guy like Le'Veon Bell. As much as he was playing by the rules about 2.5 years ago, I mean, this guy right here, at the end of the day, he was not really all about winning. I hate to say it. I mean, he was a guy more about like getting a secure financial contract, show him stability, and I just never felt like it was going to be like a long-term marriage. I mean, the Steelers did try, like, give him some extra money, try to meet him halfway as best they could, But the thing is, they're not going to be strapped down for like a future guaranteed money. I mean, going into years where it's going to affect their cap at some point, and they're going to have to bite the bullet on certain things too, as far as like their cap hits. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they just don't want. They're those type of organization. They want to make sure they're not having their hands tied or or cap strapped to anybody. I mean, I think the only exception to the rule you make is probably like their quarterback. I mean, whoever they've been signing right now, and you got a lot of stuff going on right there, and I get it. But at the same time, too, I mean, you really gotta like have people get together and sit down and talk. The more this thing continues to be splashed into the public eye right now, the more worse it's going to look for a guy like Deshaun Watson, if anything. I do anticipate this guy to move on and be dealt somewhere, but I also do feel like right now, I mean, who's going to be the one that's going to really be a contender right now? I think if anything, I've always said the Miami Dolphins, but I tell you what, one destination I could possibly see right now where he could still make an impact, still be box office too, and this one guy who's still like the owner and general manager still at the same time with his team. I would say Jerry Jones of the Cowboys. How much are the Cowboys are willing to like spend right now for a guy like Deshaun Watson? I mean, they're usually pretty cheap with some of the money they spend, but when they feel like consider all the endorsements they have with their players and stuff. But at the same time, too, listen, you get a chance to wear that big star in your helmet right there. I think if anything, I mean, Jerry Jones has always been like a little adamant. I mean, ever since Tony Romo retired and transitioned to a broadcasting career, about trusting Dak Prescott that much. I'm not saying they don't have a mutual respect for another, but he's also the same guy that's not going to have the wool pulled over his eyes right now. So let's think about that. And if anything, I think with the Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger, listen, I mean, I hear King on Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio right there on Pro Football Talk saying right now that they're banking on the fact right now that you have the Steelers team that's going to be like a same 11-0 Steelers team that they're willing to ride with. I'm not sure about that, but I also do believe right now what you got for right now, you're going to be have $19 million remaining in Ben Roethlisberger's salary right now that they could use, which is about $4 million in his base and about $15.5 million, I want to say, in his roster bonus that he'll be due in March. So I think it does make sense to give it one more time. And I think the biggest thing, too, I mean, a lot of people keep forgetting, this guy who's been coming off elbow surgery. I mean, you had to play 13 straight games off that elbow, hardly any rest. I mean, just trying to get that thing repaired and in time to play for the season. I mean, Papiani was pointing out, I mean, with me, and we both pretty much agreed upon having a full season of rest this year, this offseason. But the only problem is where you run into a guy with Ben Roethlisberger, where it's just a lot of teams, a lot of executives were basically saying, I'm sure coaches were saying as well, their offense has become too predictable. And the way it's been becoming too predictable, when you keep doing these short passing games right here and try this little West Coast offense of Deke and Doug passes, but we'll see right now. So let's find out what happens here. I mean, with that, I think it's a smart move until you're able to find someone better. But here's the thing, too. I'm not seeing the Steelers already, I mean, right now, be honestly saying that they'd be willing to give up multiple first-round picks. I think 2 first-round picks and I think like a couple defense players or a second round. I forget the exact deal. But really, I mean, that's the thing right there. For a team who's hardly ever mortgaged their future, and you looked at it, too, and I was looking at something right now by Dale Lally, who was illustrating, I mean, within the 50s and 60s, they had like about 4 winning seasons where they're mortgaging their future with surrendering their first round picks. Over the years, when you look at it, I mean, throughout, and let's take a look at that right now. So, see what they've been able to do here. But like I said, you haven't had one playoff game in that time before Dan really came to the picture into the late 60s, a formula they were using, trying not to surrender multiple first-round picks. And this is where they had it. So you had it in that time. where they were giving up their first round picks at least 6 times between 1958 and 1967, and they only had about 4 winning seasons, to my understanding. So, which is not good right there. And like I said, their first playoff victory didn't come until 1972. So keep that stuff in mind right there. I get it, but at the same time too, I think if you still they could still find people in the draft that they could get right now. I'm not so sure how much the likeliness is of trying to get a guy like Najee Harris from Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, remember the Steelers are slated to draft 24th in the first round right now. I mean, it could still be a possibility right now where I could still possibly see, depending where everything stands at, I could still see them trading up in the draft a few spots. I mean, getting up maybe around 14th overall. I mean, I could still see that being not beyond the realm of possibility here. And when you look at everything going on, I mean, with the Steelers, I mean, and their picks, when we look at it right now, here's the thing we got to take a look at right now as we look at it here for this time coming up when it gets to that. Here's what the Steelers are going to be lined up for when I looked at it from WalterFootball.com. So we already know the first round is going to be 24th overall. Second round is going to be, they're going to be number 23rd, 55th overall. Third round, they'll be 24th, 88th overall. Fourth round, 23, 119th overall. And then you got some compensatory picks, possibly 2, maybe 3, I want to say here. So 7th round picks, 18th, 10th, 210th overall. And then that's about it. So you're going to be having in this draft right here. I mean, coming up, I want to say about 6 picks for this year. So let's see how that pans itself out. I still believe right now, I mean, the thing is, when you look at this overall cap situation the Steelers got for right now, it is going to be significantly bad. This year, they're still over $34 million in cap debt. And don't forget, they still got wipe away Vance McDonald's salary right now. And Vance McDonald right now, when you take a look at it too, for the time being, since he is retiring now for this season here, he is supposed to be about right now for this year a $5.2 million cap saving, which would make their cap hit for him $2.7 million for Vance McDonald. So let's get into some other stuff right now. So let's swing it back into the Super Bowl right now. Super Bowl 55 right now. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, we got another familiar guy who is in the Super Bowl right now, who's spent his career 43 years in the NFL. And he's been a wide receivers coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the late 70s. Got 2 Super Bowl rings with that Steel Curtain dynasty right there. But then he's also gotten his 3rd ring with the Colts in 2006. I'm talking about none other right now than Tom Moore right here, guy who's be coaching in this game coming up here for this contest right now. And definitely going to be an interesting matchup right here. At the age of 82, he's going to be looking to get his 4th Super Bowl ring. And he was quoted as saying, "There's absolutely nothing about not working that turns me on," said Moore. Speaking for the first time this season on a Zoom call with reporters in advance Super Bowl 55 against the Chiefs, "I want to coach as long as I can, as long as someone will hire me and that I can do the job that I'm supposed to do. I want to come back next year and the next year and the next year and the next year." I mean, this guy is definitely a workaholic right here. I think one of the best offensive coordinators of all time right there. I mean, when you look at what he's done, with the likes of a Peyton Manning, and now to come over with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I mean, just working together. I mean, on the same page. I think this is going to be an interesting dynamic here. I think that's part of reasons why. I mean, when you look at Brady too, who's been coming over to a new team, rolling the dice right now, knowing his enthusiasm and what he's leveled up with this Bucks organization. Listen, I think if anything, this is going to be something right now with Brady here. I think we're going to ease a little bit back on now. I mean, you saw Brady just doing a lot more better. I think like take care of the ball as of late. I mean, make some smooth throws right there. He's got the weapons he needs right now. The only question is right now is Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown seemed to be doing a little bit more better injury-wise according to Bruce Arians. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, you look at the support system in place, and don't forget the Kansas City Chiefs. They can be arriving in Tampa until the weekend of the Super Bowl. Now, right now, when we take a look at it too, Bruce Arians, he wanted more to get the vaccine first. And he said Monday that he's grateful to have gotten both doses of the vaccine and to keep coaching at his age through a pandemic. He said he's been extremely disciplined, making the daily drive from home to the office and little else so as to limit his risk. And right now, too, when you look at it, Tom Brady on Coach Moore right now, who's like an offensive like a consultant with this team, basically. Tom Brady was saying, I have a lot of respect for Coach Moore. I've had a lot of great conversations about football. He has great football knowledge. He's kind of a football encyclopedia. Where he says, I absolutely try to incorporate where it's techniques, fundamentals, or how he sees the game because he's had a lot of success. I love hearing different ideas, and he does a great job for us. And I think that's the best way to go about it right now. So let's go ahead and wrap it up right here for this edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. Fair and follow Alan Faneca. He finally gets in on his sixth try in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm gonna have to say fair in this one. I think he's gonna finally get the nod this Saturday right here. I mean, you got also another fellow lineman right here too with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's played 7 seasons, left tackle right now. Tony Baselli right here, 1995 for 2001. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, but Alan Faneca just knocks it out of the park. 9 Pro Bowls, 6-time All-Pro right there. Super Bowl champion, part of that Super Bowl 40 team. And you look at everyone that's been around this guy, and I mean, the stuff. I think you even had Ray Lewis and also former teammates. I mean, go back for this guy. And I got to believe he's going to be one of the guys who'll be in there. And I think another pair of guys, too. I'm going to make a prediction as well. I think you're definitely going to see at least if one, if not 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers get into the Hall of Fame. I'll probably say right now, when you look at between these 2 guys, I'm going to have to probably go with, right now, maybe Rondé Barber over John Lynch. John Lynch should get the nod, but then again, Rondé Barber, he has been a part of an all-decade team. They're both Super Bowl champions right here. He's got 5 Pro Bowls, 3-time All-Pro right there, playing as a corner and free safety. So I'd be really interested to see how that works out, and more stuff to come. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Men of Steel podcast on Twitter at Men of Steel CGR and at Men of Steel Nation on Instagram. So I leave it. Don't be trolling. Be rolling heroes. Here we go. I gone.